Good morning, everyone. You know, sometimes the most profound moments of clarity come in those quiet early hours when the world feels fresh and full of possibility. Welcome to Blue Mountain Morning for Monday, April 7th.
It's great to be back behind the mic after a few days off last week. I don't know about you, Alex, but I feel like my mind has been totally reset.
Reset? I think mine's been completely rewired. I spent the whole time trying to teach my cat to high five. Zero progress, by the way.
All right, let's dive into today's horizon. Markets worldwide are in absolute turmoil this morning after President Trump's sweeping tariff announcements last week. Shares have nosedived and oil prices are plummeting as investors react to both the higher U.S. tariffs and Beijing's retaliatory measures.
Oh, it's bad out there. We're talking about $6 trillion with a T wiped from U.S. stocks already. And Trump's response? He's calling these tariffs medicine. Can you believe that?
Yes, speaking to reporters on Air Force One, the president actually said, "I don't want anything to go down. But sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something." He mentioned that European and Asian leaders are coming to the table to discuss the tariffs.
Coming to the table with cash, apparently. He literally said there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis. I mean, wow.
Meanwhile, deadly storms continue to batter several states. In Kentucky, a 9-year-old boy was swept away by floodwaters on Friday, one of at least 16 people who have died in these severe weather events.
God, that's heartbreaking. And it's not over yet, is it?
Unfortunately not. The National Weather Service is forecasting what they're calling potentially historic rainfall from the central U.S. all the way to the East Coast through Sunday, with dramatic temperature swings complicating recovery efforts already underway in Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Now it's time for our Ripple Effects segment, where we explore deeper trends affecting Americans. Today we're talking about something many of us are feeling: eco-anxiety. This ties perfectly with the devastating news of historic rainfalls that we just talked about. As climate stories increasingly dominate our news feeds, more people are feeling overwhelmed by this constant stream of environmental disaster headlines.
Oh my God, yes. Every day it's like historic flooding here, unprecedented drought there, worst wildfire season somewhere else. It's honestly getting to the point where I've started avoiding climate news altogether because it makes me feel so, I don't know, powerless? Doomed?
You're definitely not alone there. The American Psychological Association has actually recognized eco-anxiety as a chronic fear of environmental doom. Studies show that about 68% of American adults report experiencing some anxiety about climate change, with younger generations feeling it most acutely.
Wait, seriously? That many people? I thought I was just being extra dramatic as usual.
Not at all. It's becoming so common that mental health professionals are developing specific approaches to address it. What's particularly challenging is that climate anxiety sits at this uncomfortable intersection. It's both a completely rational response to real threats and potentially debilitating if left unchecked.
So we're not crazy for freaking out, but we also can't just spiral into climate despair forever. Cool. Very helpful, Mark.
I know it sounds contradictory, but
I'm just messing with you, but seriously, what are people supposed to do with these feelings? Because I've tried both options, completely immersing myself in climate news until I'm a nervous wreck, or totally avoiding it and then feeling guilty for being uninformed. Neither approach feels great.
that's exactly the dilemma. Dr. Susan Clayton at the College of Worcester has some interesting research on this. She suggests that finding a middle path is key, staying informed without becoming overwhelmed.
A middle path. Revolutionary.
I know it sounds simple, but implementing it takes intention. One practical approach is setting boundaries around your news consumption. Maybe dedicate specific times to update yourself on climate news rather than constant exposure.
I've actually started doing something like that. I have a 20-minute worry window each day where I allow myself to spiral about whatever's stressing me out. Climate change gets at least 10 of those minutes.
That's creative. Another strategy that's shown promising results is channeling anxiety into meaningful action, however small. This could be anything from adjusting personal habits to joining community initiatives.
But does any of that actually matter? Like, I can use all the metal straws I want, but it won't stop the polar ice caps from melting, you know?
Individual actions do add up, especially when they become collective. But you're right that the scale of the problem requires systemic change. That's why many psychologists recommend focusing on areas where you have agency, like community involvement and/or local advocacy, rather than fixating on global metrics that no single person can control.
Community involvement. So, like joining a local climate action group or something?
Exactly. Research shows that collective action not only has more impact, but also significantly reduces feelings of helplessness. The Yale program on climate change communication found that Americans who engage in climate conversations and community activities report lower levels of anxiety and higher feelings of empowerment.
I guess that makes sense. It's like being in the same boat with other people makes the boat seem less likely to sink. That metaphor kind of fell apart, but you know what I mean.
I do. And there's something powerful about connecting our individual concerns to shared experiences. Dr. Renee Lertzman calls this environmental melancholia, the grief we feel for what's being lost, and argues that acknowledging these emotions collectively is actually crucial for effective climate response.
So instead of bottling it up or doom scrolling alone at 3 a.m., talk about it with people?
Precisely. Creating spaces, whether virtual or in person, where people can process these complex emotions together has shown remarkable benefits. It transforms paralyzing anxiety into something more productive.
But how do we stay informed without constantly traumatizing ourselves? Because even with all these coping strategies, the news itself is still pretty bleak.
That's where intentional media consumption comes in. Consider following sources that balance accurate reporting with solution-focused stories. Organizations like Solutions Journalism Network specialize in exactly this approach, covering problems thoroughly while also highlighting responses that work.
Solutions journalism. I like that. It's like, hey, everything's still terrible, but here's what's being done about it.
That's the idea, and it makes a difference. Research participants exposed to solution-oriented climate stories reported feeling more hopeful and motivated to engage than those who consumed only problem-focused coverage.
You know what? I'm actually feeling a bit better about all this. Not about climate change itself, that's still terrifying, but about how to deal with knowing about it without losing my mind.
That's ultimately what managing eco-anxiety is about. Not eliminating concern, which is appropriate given the circumstances, but finding ways to carry it that don't paralyze us. As the environmentalist Joanna Macy puts it, the pain we feel for the world is evidence of our interconnectedness. It's time for our morning whisper, that moment where we pause and find our center before heading into the day.
Oh, thank God. After all that eco-anxiety talk, I could really use some zen.
Today, I want to share something I noticed walking through the park this morning. There was this maple tree just starting to unfurl its leaves, tiny, bright green against the morning light. And it struck me how trees don't rush their seasons.
Unlike me rushing through 3 cups of coffee before 8 a.m.
Exactly. Trees operate on their own timeline, responding to exactly what's happening right now, not what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. When it's time to grow, they grow. When it's time to rest, they rest.
So you're saying I should be more tree-like?
In a way, yes. Just for today, try noticing when you're rushing ahead or dwelling in the past. Then gently bring yourself back to what's actually happening in this moment. The sensation of your breath, the feeling of your feet on the ground.
Like a tree with roots, I like that.
Trees bend with the strongest winds rather than fighting against them. Perhaps that's our reminder for today, to find strength in flexibility and to trust our own natural rhythms. Well, that wraps up our Blue Mountain morning for today. Friends, thanks for spending part of your Monday with us.
If you enjoyed starting your day with us, why not help someone else find their morning calm? Share the podcast with a friend or family member who could use a little clarity in their news diet.
And we absolutely love hearing from you. Send us an email at bluemountainmorningpodcast@gmail.com if you'd like a shout-out.
Speaking of which, big hello to Olivia from New York who recommended us to her entire office. You're spreading the calm, Olivia, and we appreciate you.
We'll be back tomorrow with another dose of news, perspective, and that morning calm you've come to expect.
Until then, stay grounded, America.